Hello everyone. Welcome to FSC 2.0, the event. My name is Salma, and I am thrilled to be your virtual host for this exciting occasion. Today, we are here to discover, engage, and innovate as we launch our new website and open the floor to your valuable insights during this public consultation. I'm not alone in guiding you through this journey. Joining me is Alicia Bascom, our Manager of Corporate Communications and Public Education. Alicia, it's an honor to co-host with you today. Together, we'll explore the exciting features of our new website and delve into discussions that shape the future FSC. So, let's dive in and make this event unforgettable. Let's put our hands together for a warm welcome to my co-host, Alicia.
Salma, what a warm and beautiful introduction. Thank you. It is an absolute pleasure to co-host this exciting event with you. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to FSC 2.0, the event. As Salma mentioned, I am Alicia Bascom, Manager of Corporate Communication and Public Education at the Financial Services Commission, your in-person co-host. Board of Commissioners of the FSC, management, staff, fellow regulators, partners, licensees, registrants, members of the public, and to our media colleagues, good evening. We are so delighted that you've joined us as the FSC embarks on a new chapter, one that's all about discovering, engaging, and innovating. This forum isn't just about unveiling a website. It's about transforming how we connect, communicate, and collaborate. Providing this public platform where we can share updates on how and what we're doing as a regulator, and more importantly, to hear your feedback is essential. Over time, you'll see a number of surveys being issued to garner your input on how we can ensure that we are hitting the mark in both our operational and regulatory output. I'm sure you'll hear more about this evening. So we invite you in the room and those who will view this session afterwards to join us for an interactive and insightful experience. We encourage you to ask questions, share your thoughts, and be part of shaping the future of the FSC. Now, let's get started. I take delight in inviting to the stage our board chairman, Oliver Jordan. Mr. Jordan is widely regarded as a stickler for governance, compliance, and risk management. If Barbados had a team of superheroes for financial stability, he'd definitely be wearing one of the capes. He ably leads our board of commissioners who have oversight of the FSC, ensuring that we fulfill our mandate. Chair, I invite you at this time to give your remarks.
And today, I'm going to share something exciting with you. Now, think back to just about 2 years ago. The financial world was already changing at breakneck speed, digital transformation, evolving market dynamics, new financial products emerging almost every day. Many wondered, how do we keep up? Well, I'm standing here today not just to fulfill our statutory obligation of holding a public meeting, but really to share with you a vision that's already becoming a reality. Let me paint you a picture of where we're going, and I promise it to be more exciting than your typical regulatory roadmap. First, we're transforming ourselves from inside out. You see, in the past, regulatory bodies were often seen as rigid, slow-moving machines, and some say with good reason. But imagine a more dynamic organization where our teams can seamlessly move between credit unions, insurance, pensions, and securities. That, however, ladies and gentlemen, is not just a dream. It's happening right now. Here's something that might also surprise you. We're building what we like to see as a regulatory Swiss Army knife. Our staff won't just be specialists in one area. They'll be versatile experts capable of adapting to whatever challenges tomorrow brings. And yes, we are backing this up with some serious training and support. I also want to share with you something that also gets me quite excited, which is our Innovation Hub. And again, this is not just another bureaucratic initiative. Think of it as a laboratory for the future, where we're experimenting with new ways to regulate and support the financial sector. It's where traditional regulation meets cutting-edge technology. And speaking of cutting-edge technology, we are embracing data analytics in a very big way. But it's not just about having fancy dashboards. It's about being able to spot market trends before they become market problems. It's about protecting investors, and this is something I'm very passionate about, protecting investors more effectively than ever before. And here's another bold move we're making. We've established a transformation management office. And some of you may be thinking another administrative layer. But ladies and gentlemen, I can assure you this is different. We recognize that our staff are already heavily burdened, and we've therefore brought in fresh pair of eyes, external experts, who are helping us reshape everything we do and how we work and how we reward excellence. And speaking of people, and because again, that's the heart of everything we do, we are creating clear paths for growth, recognizing excellence, and building a culture where innovation isn't just encouraged, it's expected. Now, some of you may be skeptical. Change isn't easy, and I know that from my past experience, but here's what makes me confident. Every change we're implementing has been carefully thought through and with one goal in mind, to serve the public of Barbados better than we ever have. So let me leave you with this thought. The financial world of tomorrow will look very different from today. But with these challenges, we're not just preparing for that future, we're helping to shape it, and we want you to be part of that journey. In the next hour, our CEO and the executive team will be sharing more specific details about our progress and plans. We will also want to hear from you, because this transformation isn't about us, it's about building a stronger, more resilient financial sector for everyone. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for being here this evening. Let's dive into the details of what promises to be an exciting future for the Financial Services Commission. Over to the panel. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jordan, for your words of commendation and insight. The future of the FSC is certainly a bright one. Salma, I believe we are now moving into the public consultation segment of our program. It's over to you.
Now, we turn to one of the key segments of the evening, our public consultation. This moderated discussion will provide insights into the strategic direction of the Financial Services Commission and the work being done to strengthen financial regulation in Barbados. Leading this discussion is Mr. Curtis Lowe, Director of Supervision and Regulation. He plays a critical role in overseeing the FSC's regulatory framework, ensuring that financial entities adhere to industry standards and best practices. Joining him on stage, we have the senior leadership team of the FSC. Warwick Ward, Chief Executive Officer. As CEO, Mr. Ward is responsible for steering the overall vision and strategy of the FSC. He leads the Commission's efforts to enhance financial regulation, ensuring a stable and transparent financial sector in Barbados. Under his leadership, the FSC continues to evolve, addressing emerging risks and strengthening oversight of non-bank financial institutions. Alicia, who do we have next?
Thank you so much, Salma. Denise Hines-Jordan, Deputy CEO Acting. Denise leads the FSC's supervision and regulatory functions, ensuring compliance within Barbados's financial markets. Her work directly impacts the stability and integrity of the sector, particularly in overseeing securities, insurance, credit unions, and pension plans. She plays a pivotal role in safeguarding market transparency and investor confidence. Selma?
Carol Nichols, Chief Operations Officer. As Chief Operations Officer, Ms. Nichols is responsible for the internal efficiency and operational structure of the FSC. She ensures that the Commission's activities align with its strategic objectives, overseeing key areas such as resource management, process optimization, and institutional capacity building. Her leadership strengthens the FSC's ability to execute its mandate effectively.
And finally, we have Shade Jamat, our General Counsel, or as I like to say, our legal eagle. Shade serves as the FSC's primary legal advisor. She ensures that financial regulations are enforced effectively while providing legal guidance on policy development and compliance. In addition to her role at the FSC, she contributes to legislative reform efforts that impact Barbados's financial landscape. Ladies and gentlemen, here you have our panelists for today's public consultation. Let's give them a warm welcome.
Discover, engage, innovate. That's our broad theme for this afternoon. And in terms of our expansion on that theme, we'll be focusing on 4 broad areas: strategy and leadership, regulation and supervision, operations management, and our legal framework. Now, the Financial Services Commission was established in April 2011. Over the years, there has been some ambiguity within the public space as to the role of the commission, who we are, what we do, why we do what we do. So this public consultation allows us or affords us the opportunity to provide some clarity as to who we are, why we do what we do, how we do what we do, and also to speak to our broader strategic objectives under the theme Discover, Engage, Innovate. So to begin this afternoon's discussion, I will ask our CEO, Warwick, to share with us in the FSC who we are as an organization.
Thanks, Curtis. Thanks, everyone, for coming this evening to hear a little bit about what the FSC is doing. As Curtis mentioned, and as the chair touched on earlier, we are the non-bank financial regulator. So what does that mean? That means we're responsible for the regulation and supervision of those financial sectors that are not currently regulated by the central bank, which are the banks. So let me just name them: the pensions, occupational pensions, securities market, and all of their registrants, all of their actors. We also regulate the credit unions, and the final one, which is among the largest for us, is the insurance sector. So what is this all about? Typically, people tend to mistake us, as Curtis said, for another regulator. So we're here to set the role straight, what it is that we do and how we do it. And Curtis mentioned all the other things do. So let us just start. A couple years ago, what it is that we recognized was that, there's a lot more that we can do in terms of how we are organized, how we structure ourselves, and how we present ourselves to the public. So we embarked on a fairly ambitious goal, and that is to make sure that we are tooled for the future. We have the right people in the right places, and that we're able to educate and also stand instead of the general public and investors in making sure that our system is not only sound, but that there's transparency with what we do and that the stakeholders are protected. So we embarked on a few strategic priorities. These are the talent and organizational redevelopment. As the chair said earlier this evening as well, we sought to make sure that we have all of the opportunities within the FSC, all of the capacity within FSC well built out so that the staff knows how best they're able to regulate various sectors. So we would have had 4 distinct, I don't want to call the word silos, but we would have had 4 distinct operations within the FSC. So we had the securities sector, we had the pension sector, so we had experts in all of these various areas. So what we sought to do was to make it all very complete by having still sector-specific or sector experts, but we also have everyone being able to fill in and make sure that it's all the risk profiles of the entities are well covered within the FSC. The next area that we sought to do was to innovate. As you would have seen, Selma, as one of our newest employees, we have already started to innovate, but there will be more. The Innovation Hub is one of the key areas and one of our key strategic priorities where we're able to understand what new entrants, new potential products are within the market before they actually enter the market, see how they're going to perform, whether there are holes, whether there are gaps, and how they need to be filled. The other area that we'll be looking at, which will be touched on by our council over there, is legislation, legislative reform. We all know, and we all hear quite often, that legislation is actually, we hear that it's very slow in Barbados. So what we are actually doing is looking at the entire suite of legislation to modernize it, such that it becomes one for the future. The other area that we want to focus on is making it a future fit organization. What does that mean? As the chair, and you will hear a little later as well, the world is moving quite quickly. We are seeing new products all the time. We see all sorts of things. We see crypto, we see climate, we see biodiversity, we see new types of funds. And all of those come to the FSC. So we need to be able to be nimble enough and flexible enough while still maintaining the regulatory rigor to be able to allow those good products or those products that will be suitable for the market to also be able to operate within the space, Barbados' space, or to operate from Barbados. And the other area which is also quite important is stakeholder engagement. This is one of our major strategic priorities, and this event this evening forms one of those priorities. You would have also seen within recent times, you would have seen us on Facebook, you would have seen us on Instagram, you would also have seen us on LinkedIn. And these serve as major planks for us where we're able to educate, where we're able to communicate, and where we're able to also get information from the public so that we are able to understand how we're doing, how well we're doing, or in some instances, how we can improve so that we serve the general public as a public entity or public service entity. Now, I would pass over to Curtis, but there are a couple more things which I will add as we go on later.
Okay, thanks, Warwick. I'll follow up with a question for you. You mentioned the importance of strategy in terms of future fitting the FSC. Could you share with us some of those strategic initiatives, some of those strategic objectives which will guide us on that path to being future fit? And also, could you share with us some of the leadership structures and initiatives which have been implemented to allow us to achieve those strategic objectives?
Sure. Thanks, Curtis. So, over the past, we would have started this process a few years now. However, over the past year and a half, they have really started in earnest. We mentioned earlier that there's a TMO, a Transformation Management Office. And what we're looking to do, that forms as the execution arm of our broad strategy, the Commission strategy. We're looking to infuse technology, and Denise will talk a little bit about that. We are looking to infuse technology and artificial intelligence in all or many aspects of our activities, and that is to make us more efficient, because we also recognize that there are instances where we could be much quicker than we actually are. And so what we are looking to do is to build those efficiencies in all aspects of the FSC. so that, we are able to serve the public more efficiently. The other thing as well is that as the regulator, we are also one of the faces or the first faces that potential investment into Barbados will see. And we will use our efficiencies, we'll use our ability to turn around applications much more quickly, for example, as a way in which we can not only serve the broader publics by bringing more investment into Barbados, but also the tools would allow us to spot any potential errors, any potential areas of difficulty, because one of our mandates obviously is financial stability, much more quickly before something actually happens. So that is just broadly some of the things that we're doing with regards to technology. Denise will speak a little bit more with regards to how we're going to use those things.
Thanks very much, Warwick. The chair mentioned our obligations with respect to public accountability, which falls under the Finance Management Act. Carol, what is the Finance Management Act and what is required under that legislation?
Thank you, Curtis, and good evening, everyone. The Public Finance Management Act 2019-1 is the legislation that guides what I would consider to be best practice for state-owned enterprises to report on the use of public funds. So, in a nutshell, it provides us guidance with the timing for our budget submissions, the timing of our financial statements, annual reports, and it is quite comprehensive. Now, it is best practice, and we have similar legislation, I know, across the Caribbean. Why are we here today? We're here today because Section 108 of that Act requires every state-owned enterprise to hold a public meeting once every 2 years to report on the performance of the most recently concluded year, which in our case would be March 31st, 2024, to give an account of our current state of the Commission, and also to give a projection of what we see to be happening over the next 2 years. So it's a requirement to be fulfilled once every 2 years. Luckily, we have our website, and we actually do have our annual reports and audited financial statements posted to the website for the general public to review our financial performance and the strategy behind it. And there's also a comprehensive overview of the activities in each financial year. So what I intend to share with you today, I want to give you an idea of what we undertook during 2024 and what continues into the next almost 3 years, really, because we have a comprehensive strategy, multiple priorities. We have multi-year projects running concurrently. It's a very busy time for us. So if I start with the nuts and bolts, let's talk about, I guess, money, a broad overview. We are proud to say that the FSC continued to finance its operations from its revenues without assistance from central government. So we have been self-sufficient for a number of years, and we also have no borrowings. Our revenue, as you know, most of you are probably related to the industry, so our revenue is earned from registration fees and licensing. And our revenues in 2024 grew marginally, 2.5% over that of 2023. But in general, our revenues are pretty stable. Our operating expenses, however, grew by 7%. And that is directly related to what we are undertaking. We were able to retain our surplus, and our surplus is really critical for us to be able to finance the capital expenditure and other initiatives which were outlined by Warwick. So 2024 was actually a year, I would call it a preparatory year. We actually were very selective in engaging consultants for two of our major transformation initiatives. One was the redesign of our organization structure to collapse the silos in the regulatory area and to better position us to regulate on a risk base, based on risk, I should say. So in the previous years, we had hammered out terms of reference, and we went through the procurement process. And these things take time. We selected our service providers, and I will start with the information technology consultancy first of all. And the output was really a current state assessment of where we are, or I can now say where we were in 2024, and where we needed to be. There was a lot of introspection. It was based on facts, but we looked to enhance our digital maturity. So we looked at everything from the bottom up. We started with IT strategy. We looked at our governance. We actually looked at it across 12 components, including the need for data warehousing. And we ended up with over 100 recommendations. That required us to ask our consultants to provide a detailed roadmap with rankings so that we could look at the priority and help us to implement. And we were able to come from an estimate of 12 million for that work right down to 6.5. We looked at it very carefully. So you can see the level of investment that is required. But the point that was made was that we're not just looking at digitization. The computer won't solve problems that exist in our processes. So we are looking at our people, our processes, then we're looking at the technology. So all of this was hammered home to us, and it underscored the need for the establishment of a transformation management office. Because concurrently, we also were looking at our organizational redesign. The organizational redesign was touched on already, but we actually had received advice on this several years before. And the final recommendations, which I say got the necessary approvals, saw us growing from 60 members of staff back in 2023-24. That's the projection. From 60, we're going as high as 93 over a 3-year period. So you can see it wasn't about shrinking the organization, but it was making it fit for purpose. So we were coordinating, sourcing talent, developing existing talent, because we are firmly of the belief that no one knows our business more than the people, and our people are our most important resource. So that structure is actually going to be staffed over a 3-year period. 2024 dealt with all of the deliberation, all of the requirements gathering. We had several consultations with our stakeholders, with our staff, with regulators across the Caribbean and internationally. So we actually consulted quite broadly so that we could do some benchmarking and identify those gaps that existed. And then the task was to close the gaps. And therefore, we were looking at that, looking at building staff from 60 to 93, and how we would budget that. So in the end, we agreed on 87% adoption of the redesign initiatives in 2025. We were going to have 87% of the post filled in 2025, which is almost coming to an end. 2025 meaning March 31st, 2025. Another 5% in 25-26, and the remainder in 26-27, 8%. So in summary, we have multiple projects going, and we have planned them in such a way that we can finance them independently without incurring debt. Of course, the next major initiative, we are going to spend some time on that later, but the website is really one of our major initiatives. Because when we look at the website, we're also looking at a portal through which we can do business. An entity is judged by the quality of its website. We are looking to do business internationally, and therefore we need to be doing business 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, across all time zones, and that's what we envisage being able to achieve through our website, eventually even having a payment portal. But as I said, nothing will happen overnight, but we are really looking to gather your ideas, if you have not yet already shared them with us, so that we can integrate as much functionality as possible into what we are doing. So what is our current state? We are continuing to budget prudently because we need to be sustainable. Our recruitment is ongoing. Our training is just about ramping up at this stage. And we are also looking at our performance management system. And this is going to be automated and made simpler than the one we had before. So we're not starting from scratch, but we're improving. And we just need to be very strong and, be critical of ourselves so that we know where we need to improve. We're also looking to have our staff be happy. So we're looking at ways to strengthen our employee benefits. We've already started with some initiatives. And we are encouraging healthy lifestyles and work-life balance. So I hope that over the next 3 years or so, we will meet these goals that we've set for ourselves, and we continue to contribute to our communities because we exist within the community. So the performance over the next 2 years has already been set, because with our strategic vision, our strategic priorities, and our plan, this is a medium to long-term initiative. We received a very strong message from our chairman that if we had planned to do things in 5 years, we do things in 3 years, and those things we try to do in 2 years, we should do in 1 year. Because the recommendations that we have today, due to the ever-evolving technology, etc., will not be relevant unless we act quickly. So with that, I will just wrap up. We've been doing a lot, and we've been financing ourselves, and we are budgeting responsibly. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comprehensive report, Carol. So this allows me to make 2 key points here. One, refer to our website for detailed information in terms of our annual reports and our audited financial statements. And secondly, risk-based supervision. What is it that we are doing in terms of our regulatory framework? I will now pivot to Denise, our supervisory guru, who will speak to us with respect to the Commission's regulatory framework, what it is, how it impacts you, what it is we intend to do. Denise?
Thank you so much, Curtis. I see my new title is Supervisory Guru. Let's see if I can live up to that, Millen. The FSC is really committed to strengthening the financial sector through transparent and effective but more importantly, risk-sensitive supervision and regulation. And so, as you've heard before from our chair, from Warwick, we are transforming, and that transformation happens in regulatory as well. It's not just broadly for the organization. The chair would assure that we are no longer silos, we are one regulatory division, multiple talents, we're building capacity, and we're building out a supervisory framework. And that's probably what I'm going to talk a little bit more about. And what is the supervisory framework? Really, it's a governance document that kind of says how we regulate. It's a document that's public. It sets the tone both internally, but also for you, so you can hold us accountable to our regulation and our supervision strategies. I kind of summarize our supervisory framework in kind of like 3 phrases. It's risk-based, it's forward-looking, and it's outcomes-focused. So what do I mean by risk-based? In that supervisory framework, you should see what is our risk tolerance. And what is that? Well, we prefer to enter in early and deal with an issue before we wait, and then the issue emerges. So we're very risk-sensitive. Early intervention is our goal. We have a strong enforcement culture, and that enforcement culture is not meant to be punitive. We believe that risk management happens in the regulated institution. And so if we see an issue, we will have that first conversation with you, because we are both together in this. We all want to serve the public, and our responsibility is consumer protection. I'm sure sitting across from me, you would say exactly the same thing. That is your responsibility as well. But if we find that maybe you're not responding as we would see fit, we will have what we will call enhanced intervention, and we will escalate the intervention. So risk-based supervision really speaks to efficiency of the process and effectiveness of regulation. It's about proportionality. While we say that same activity, same risk, same regulation, we recognize that there's complexity, there's size, there are a whole number of other things. And so our regulation is proportionate to you. Okay. It's flexible. We're nimble regulators. And if we aren't before, we certainly will be at the end of today, and certainly going forward into the future in terms of all of the additional changes that we are seeking to implement. And so we adapt. That means that in adapting, that we are focused on what I consider professional judgment. It is not about checklists. It's not checking the boxes. It's using expert judgment based on data evidence to be able to inform our decisions. We are focused really on financial stability, not just ticking a box and saying we've done this or we've done that. It's robust, clear guidelines. You should see some of these on our website. We anticipate that you will see more. And what does that really mean? It means that you are able to understand how we see risk, what are our expectations. And so it allows you to develop your risk framework proportional to obviously your size and complexity, but one that meets what our expectations would be. And as we say to you, when we have those conversations on an examination, or if you're having another discussion across as you're developing your strategy, you understand where we're coming from, and then it makes that conversation so much easier. Forward-looking, use of technology. Warwick asked me to speak a little bit about the use of technology. It's about SUPTEC regulation. And SUPTEC, all these fancy words, it simply means we're using tools that are available out there to help us do regulation. So we can use AI when we have all these very large, I'm a securities regulator. I'm a banking and securities regulator primarily, and one of the key things in securities regulation, you see these massive prospectus, and you need to review them because we don't issue a particular structure for prospectus in Barbados. AI helps with that. So take some of the basic things out. Have they met the legislative requirements? It allows you to say whether a language is suitable for the investor. Is it plain? Is it simple? Is it clear? Some of that can be done by AI as opposed to the hours it takes a regulator to go through it. So we're using the technology effectively so we can then apply. That's what risk-based supervision is. It's about allocating resources to risk, really. It's evidence-based analysis, forward-looking. So we use stress testing, we use scenario analysis. We are trying to not just look in the past and look at your financial statements and see what happened in terms of your performance. We want to be able to anticipate your response to various issues, emerging issues such as ESG, such as climate change. What does that happen? How does that stress your environment? What does that mean for your capital? And to have those kind of forward-looking discussions with you as we discuss your strategy. When we talk about outcomes focus, I think our chair said it best. We're preparing a regulator for not today, for tomorrow. And it's about being responsiveness as a regulator, prioritizing financial stability, being proactive, and more importantly, it's also about engagement. And engagement happens in many ways. I think Carol spoke to the use of technology. We're anticipating having launched very shortly an applications portal on our website. Right? And that allows you to engage with us on a regular basis, to set that application in, to monitor the process of your application as it goes through the system. It helps you to better understand. We should be issuing guidance that tells you how to apply. So do you understand what is the expectation of the regulator, so we're not talking at cross purposes? Well, I sent you an application, yes, but it's not completed. What do you mean it's not completed? I filled in all the forms. Well, no, this is what my expectation is. This is a complex matter. What are some of the things that you need to share with me on your strategy, your risk management, those kind of things? So it helps you to understand what we are looking for. So I think that will kind of capture what a supervisory framework looks like, but it really is about clarity about what we do and how we do it, and it allows you and internally to us to give you consistent service, but it also allows you to be able to hold us accountable.
Thank you, Denise. Denise would have clarified or explained the FSC's approach to future fitting regulation and supervision. Now, regulation and supervision is underpinned by legislation. Our legislative framework is one which is in need of updating, and Shade has taken on the Herculean task of ensuring that our legislative framework is aligned with our objective of being future fit. Shade, could you take us through your objectives, your plans in terms of ensuring that our legislative suite is appropriate?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. In terms of legislation, you would have heard each of the speakers on the panel mention it in some form or fashion. It underpins everything that we do. And it is an understatement that the pieces of legislation, the multiple pieces of legislation that support our mandate, they're in need of some love. You know, they've been amendments along the way, but nothing that is as comprehensive or as robust as the FSC 2.0 requires. So my job really is to take a fresh approach to the legislation, not discarding what has been done before, of course, because we have decades of efforts and perspectives that have been consolidated within the FSC, and then I'm sure the market itself, the industry has perspectives. And as the environment continues to evolve, we have to make sure that we're harnessing the lessons, not just from our jurisdiction, but other jurisdictions. So what I've sought to do is to turn our legislative reform agenda into a project where we are eating this elephant one bite at a time with the support of our legislative reform committee of the board, with our stakeholder partners, with external agencies that can offer technical assistance to make sure that we are taking a comprehensive, purpose-driven approach to our legislative reform agenda. So we're looking at not just the Financial Services Commission Act, but each and every one of the specified enactments. And we're doing that alongside our strategic partners. So one of the strategies, I'm sure in the back of everybody's minds who have sat in a forum and heard about legislative reform, you're probably thinking, okay, so what are you going to do differently? And the truth is, I like to work smart and not necessarily hard. And it's important that even as you are approaching these mammoth tasks, to partner strategically for success. And that's what we're doing in achieving that. So for example, we know from a credit union perspective, there's been a long desire to have deposit insurance in place for that sector. That's something that we're looking at advancing. We're actively partnering and engaging on developing and delivering that. And likewise, in terms of our mutual funds regime, we are looking at how do we enhance that into an investment fund scheme that is not just fit for purpose for our market, but is competitive. So we're looking at our core values of transparency and accountability and excellence and integrity and all of that, but we're also looking at competitiveness and how do we regulate in a way that allows Barbados ultimately to be competitive and to achieve our wider strategic objectives. So the legislative reform agenda is really about helping us to do our job better. And when you go to the website, you'll see that there's a call to action. And I want to take this opportunity to do a shameless plug and ask you to participate in our efforts. We're asking you for your perspective, and I'm sure you've been asked for your perspective before, but you have an opportunity now to get in on the ground floor of what is a legislative revolution that we are trying to put in place in relation to the FSC's mandate to not just continue to offer the stability that Barbados has been able to offer the existing fields of endeavor in our relevant sectors, but to look to the future and see where are the opportunities. How can we recreate the kind of success that we saw in captive insurance in the beginning? How can we see the new opportunities and innovate in a way that allows us to develop a non-bank financial sector that is effective and competitive and attractive, and not only serves the regulatory objectives of the FSC, but serves your objectives as stakeholders, as participants, as registrants, as licensees, as customers and clients. So that's what we're doing. We're looking at every single area that falls within our mandate, and we're taking a purpose-driven approach. We're going back to first principles. We're looking at the philosophical underpinnings of what we're doing. You know, is the resolution process for credit unions, should that be a judicial process, or is there a better administrative path that can take the least cost approach, for example, to resolving a credit union that is in problems? You know, is it that we are looking, for example, at our virtual assets regime? How are we accommodating that? How are we, you know, I'm coming from a fintech background. How are we dealing with these innovations that almost happen overnight in many ways? So we're making sure that our legislation, for example, is not overly prescriptive, but it is flexible enough to allow us to do what we need to do from a regulatory perspective and take that risk-based approach that we're talking about. And not only that, to make sure that the FSC, which is, again, shameless plug, the FSC is able to not just supervise and regulate as necessary, but enforce. Enforce when it is required to not just remove bad actors, but to correct our registrants and our licensees as and when necessary in a proportionate manner. So that's very important. And you'll see when we talk about technology as well, again, from a TCR, you hear me talking about TCR, you hear more about that from a technology perspective. You know, we want to make sure we're listening to the industry in an important way. So apart from the regular complaints channels that you all are aware of and use very well, we want to make sure we're creating funnels for tips so that insiders in an organization that is not doing what they're supposed to do, you say something, you see something, you say something, you have a pathway to safely and securely make whistleblower, for example, submissions to the FSC in a way that they can be handled with integrity and in a way that allows you to help us make our industry more safe. And in terms of referrals, able to look at other regulators and have them participate in us, you know, delivering on our mandate.
So thank you very much, Shadi, for your comprehensive summary of the plans, the legislative plans to align what we do to allow us to achieve FSC 2.0. So we would have heard from a legal perspective the work which is ongoing to allow us to move forward. We heard from Denise, a supervisory and regulatory perspective. Carol would have been comprehensive in her summary of our performance, our objectives, etc. Warwick, he spoke comprehensively as well as to our strategic objectives. We're, you know, who we are, what we do, why we do what we do. So I will now open the floor to you, the audience, to pose questions to our panel. And we do hope and anticipate an engaging Q&A session. So we invite you to make your way to the mics which are placed. There are two
excuse
mics placed in the aisles. So any person with questions, we'll take those questions now.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. One of the questions where you ended off, what is the appetite of the FSC in regulating virtual assets? It's going to touch on probably all of your different regulatory spaces. It's already in place. I think you had Tabit Insurance very recently. So what is the appetite of getting that legislation in place and regulation in place?
I would say that the FSC has quite a strong appetite. And I'll tell you that there are two approaches to fintech regulation. So we talk about virtual asset service providers legislation, and that is one avenue. But really and truly, underpinning of regulation is, I said it, same activity, same risk, same regulation. And in fact, much of what we see coming to the market can already be regulated using the existing legislation that we have, both in terms of the Securities Act, but also the Financial Services Commission Act, which allows for exemptions where necessary or slight modifications of the framework to fit that particular product. I know the industry has asked for clarification, and so we are looking ahead, and we have a very aggressive approach for the virtual asset service providers legislation. But as you talk to regulators, the industry is evolving, and there's also the risk if you run too fast to the market, because what a lot of people did is they ran and they did the vast legislation, it looked only at AML, and that's fantastic. But there's prudential regulation. So how is that then captured? So they now have to modify that. When you come under the securities legislation, both of those are taken care of one time, right? So as we now develop our virtual assets legislation, it will in fact have both aspects, both the prudential as well as the AML, and it will take lessons learned from maybe some of those who were early to the market and saw some challenges and be able now to benefit. I don't say what benefit may be the wrong word, but be able not to repeat some of those mistakes. Yeah?
Thank you.
And thank you for your question. Any additional questions, you can make your way forward.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone.
Hey, good afternoon.
I'm here to make a plug for academia. I am not representing the university in an official capacity, but yes, I work there. I want to suggest, and I don't know the extent to which you guys already do this, but building closer links with academia. Some of us, like myself, are actually studying global financial regulation, how this impacts our sustainable development, our competitiveness. And it's not easy to do this if we can't get the data. So one of the plugs I'll make is not just having this data available for persons like myself, other colleagues who are studying this, but it also helps us help you guys, because the academic research that we do help you guys to make your case, helps the Barbados government to make its case when we are advocating overseas about the impact of certain initiatives, et cetera, on small island developing states. So I also have to commend you guys for the very good work that you're doing. I was very impressed to hear about all the initiatives that Ms. Nichols mentioned, that Ms. Gemma mentioned, and I definitely look forward to hopefully engaging more with you with regard to the work that you're doing and how this would help in terms of my academic research. Thank you.
Thank you.
So while Warwick is kind of getting with us, I'll say to you, thank you. I would recognize that don't wait for us to reach out to you, reach out to us. We will put the information there. I agree with you, there's a need for more data. And one of the fantastic things about FSC 2.0 and the new website is that you will have more data. But we have a very strong research department also at the FSC. And you can engage with them. I mean, Omar, unfortunately, hopefully he's in the room, but he is, Laquan is here certainly, but Omar is the manager as well, maybe in the room. And he will say to you how you can engage with us. Because while there's room for you to work with us and talk, academia doesn't necessarily need to work specifically with the regulator only to speak. Having that body of collective knowledge that is not, in fact, perceived as being biased by a regulatory perspective, but is seen as independent, adds to our ability as we use your research to be able to make those arguments. Yeah?
Great, Thanks, Denise. We welcome all engagement, but we already work with the university in looking at some of our research. So some of our team members, they have already been paired with some of those in the faculty to provide research. We are doing some work on credit unions and some other types of research. So we have started, and of course we'll be happy to. What area are you researching?
Hi, my background is actually international trade.
Okay.
So I work at the Schroeder Fraunhofer Center for International Trade Policy. And one of my areas of research is global financial regulation. I'm specifically interested in the impact of these global financial regulatory standards on our trade, our sustainable development, our competitiveness. So I definitely look forward to any future engagement with you. My name is Alicia Nichols.
All right, yes. All right.
Yes, thank you.
Good, thanks. So we work already with the faculty, but we are also willing to work with the center as well. Great, thank you.
I just wanted to add as well that there is, again, a live opportunity on the website right now where you can take a look at our portal, the call to action, and make any submissions that you want in terms of observations you've made about the legislation, things you'd like to see, gaps you've identified, things you've seen in other jurisdictions that you think have applicability in Barbados. There is a live opportunity for you to engage us. And when we designed the form, we specifically contemplated that someone may want to upload a document or a paper or a model piece of legislation from somewhere. So this is a real opportunity that exists. It's not just theoretical, and it's live right now, and it will be open at least until the end of February.
And Alicia, what we have also did, we have done a lot of work on climate stress testing. So we are also working with the Ministry of Fisheries as well, Coastal Zone, and so we work very closely with them in building out our stress testing model. So again, that's another opportunity. We will welcome trade as well. Thanks.
Good evening, Lisa Padmore, Institute of Chartered Accountants of Barbados. Congratulations to the FSC on this engagement. We already have, I think, a healthy relationship with the FSC as it relates to engagement and discussion, especially in the areas of regulation of corporates and non-bank sector and how the accounting profession can assist in that. I'm curious more so about the process after we submit, because again, my past experience with engagements of like is that we provide, and then when it comes back in terms of the legislation, it doesn't really look like maybe what we might have suggested. So I appreciate that everything we ask for, we may not be able to get, but how do you perceive the process to go after that first set of engagements so that, again, the product that we are aiming for is indeed fit for purpose for future Barbados? Thank you.
That's an excellent question. And that goes back to the idea of what we're going to do differently. And I'm glad you made reference to that first request and the submission, because that's a major thing we're going to do differently, in that it's going to be an iterative process. And it's going to be almost bespoke for each piece of legislation, because we recognize that in partnering with some of our strategic partners in developing that legislative reform, we're going to have to take a strategic approach that sometimes will require a slightly different pathway depending on the nature of the investment and the objectives of that strategic partner. So that's a lot of words just to say ultimately it depends on the piece of legislation, it depends on the partners that are at the table. But one of the things that I'm very big on is making sure that consultations are meaningful. And having participated in legislative reform initiatives of other natures, I know how important it is to come back to the stakeholders, come back to the persons that have made contributions, and have that validation exercise with respect to what you've done, and make sure that you are not developing, in order for the legislation to be truly robust, you're not developing it in an echo chamber with persons that have the same perspective as you, and that you are making sure, as I said, it's not overly prescriptive and it can stretch and adapt as things evolve. And especially in spaces like securities, for example, things are evolving so rapidly. So ICAB and other stakeholder groups definitely are strategic partners that we are going, apart from the public call to action, we're going to write to you specifically. We're going to have focus groups. We're going to have multiple tiers of engagement that are customized almost to the audience that has the perspective. So it's not going to be, as Denise said, a check the box exercise where you publish something on GIS, you put something on your website, you say you've consulted and you move on. You know, this is meaningful consultation, and you can take that to the bank.
One of the other things with that point as well, this is going to be quick. One of the things that we also do, like when we issue the guidelines, we have post-consultation documents which we will share with the public or the registrants. It's not that we will always choose or we will always use what you submitted, but you will see why or the rationale for us to choosing the final document. It might not always be the same as you would have expected.
Hi, good night, everyone. Yeah, thank you all for being here tonight and updating us. Really appreciate it. I was just wondering, in relation to the statutory reporting guideline that was issued, is there any update on that? And then one other question in relation to the legislative reform, is there like a timeline? Do you guys have a timeline for rolling that out?
I'm assuming that you're speaking to the new guideline around IFRS 17. So yes, we are anticipating. I should apologize that we didn't get back to you a little bit sooner, and because there are subtle challenges in terms of we created a framework that not every person can necessarily adapt their systems quickly enough to be able to report. And so we are recognizing that as we issue, we will have to provide exemptions or certainly some length of time for persons to adapt to that new guideline, and maybe in some cases accept management information until you can reach that. But certainly we know that we're going to extend the time for reporting, so that will come out to you shortly. And you should see communication from the FSC within the next week, specifically on the details for both domestic, international, and how does that new reporting standard affect you and whether or not you qualify, because it is not for everybody, for the exemptions that we are offering specifically. I mean, we can talk a lot with it, but I don't want to kind of segue fully into that. Hopefully that answers your question. Is that it?
And in relation to the project timeline, as I would have indicated, we've turned our agenda into a project. And right now the time frame that we're working with is a 3-year time frame, but we're looking at all pieces of legislation, so there will be staggered implementation. So for example, in relation to the credit unions, you know, the first phase is delivering on that long established promise of the deposit insurance participation for credit unions. And the next stage would be, again, something that has been on the agenda for a long time, developing a credit union specific act. So it's a staged approach. As I said, we're going to eat the elephant one bite at a time. And depending on the strategic partners that we are able to secure along the way with our agenda and the stage at which the various efforts of reform would have been previously. When we think about the project, you know, it's not just consolidating the internal information that exists within the commission, the institutional knowledge, but it's also refreshing the perspectives by coming back to the market. And as I said, having that iterative process of consultation. But we are planning the project for a 3-year roadmap as present, but we intend to deliver certain milestones along the way as best we can. So, for example, we very recently would have received a draft bill with respect to amendments to the Insurance Act. We would expect to be able to deliver that relatively early in 2025. So there will be small wins along the way to keep the momentum going, but we're planning for a 3-year time frame.
Shada, you may want to tell them a little bit what the mutual funds are.
Oh, yes. So we are also actively in a very advanced stage of development in looking at amendments to the Mutual Funds Act to introduce a more comprehensive investment fund scheme initiative. And I would say 2025 is a reasonable expectation for the delivery of that piece of legislation. So that is one of the wins that I would like to indicate we would expect in 2025. I'm a little hesitant to say that definitively in terms of giving you a month, but I think 2025, you should see that come into the fore.
If I may add, please. So there was a question earlier about consultation and consultation process. And I think this is one of those cases where you get to see it really working. So we went out to the industry and we asked, what's wrong with our Mutual Funds Act? And we've heard a lot of it before, so we knew some of the things we were going to hear, but we asked, what do you want to see? We are anticipating getting that draft at BAT, and then we expect to engage with all of the various bodies. So, Lisa, we plan to come talk to you, right? But we're going to come talk to you because we want to see, did we get it right? And as we talk about getting it right, there's also the strategy for development. Where should we, how do you then go and you speak to your partners, making sure that isn't just right based on our knowledge internally, what we see here, but internationally, is it really competitive? Did we get it right, not just for Barbados, but because we have to look at our domestic environment, but did we get it right internationally as well? So speak to your colleagues at the various partners and ask that question and come back to us. And that allows us, again, to refine that piece of legislation so that when we do have a piece of legislation, it's truly fit for purpose. So we're really excited about it, at least we certainly are here.
Yeah. And to add, and I must apologize for my voice, the pieces of legislation will be more modern, but there will also be principles-based. So in the past, you would have had a lot of prescriptive pieces put in the legislation. We want to be more flexible, which would allow us in the future to, accept more products or accept different products, and to be more nimble in how we regulate at school. Thank you.
So if there are no more questions, I thank you for your active participation, and I will ask you to give the panel a round of applause. And I will turn the event back over to Alicia and her AI partner, co-host. Our newest employee.
That's right. That's right.
Thank you very much, everyone.
And thank you too. Just stay on the stage just for a few seconds more, but I just want to say that was truly a rich presentation and discussion. Our team is working hard at the FSC, and I think we ought to give this team here and the wider FSC staff a bigger round of applause. And so again, to the panelists and you in the audience, of course, thank you for your contributions and your interventions. Now, after this session is over, if you want to further your conversations, you can use our lounge areas spread across the room and have more information shared. Whatever you stand in need of, we would be willing to share with you. And so, allow me now, as they leave the stage, to once again thank our moderator and Director of Regulation and Supervision, Curtis Lowe, Shade Jamet, our General Counsel, Denise Hines-Jordan, our Deputy CEO Acting, Warwick Ward, our CEO, and Carol Nichols, our Chief Operations Officer. You may return to your seats. fsc.gov.bb, your digital gateway to the Financial Services Commission. Discover, engage, and innovate with us as we redefine access to financial regulation, supervision, and industry insights. Our redesigned website offers an intuitive experience, making it easier than ever before to find the information that you need. Whether you're an industry professional, investor, or member of the public, fsc.gov.bb is built for you. If you are new to engaging with us, learn about the Commission's mission, our role in overseeing non-bank financial services, and how we promote stability and transparency in the sector. Feel free to review information on our divisions so that you can better understand the work that we do. Under our Supervision and Regulation tab, find everything that you need from guidance during the annual registration process, the list of those registrants and licensees regulated by the FSC, your industry guidelines and those that are out for consultation, to the many forms that you may reference dependent on what your business with us is. Stay informed with the latest notices and publications featuring annual reports, financial stability reports, press releases, notices, speeches, and statistics. We understand the importance of numbers and how they shape the many conversations you have with potential companies wanting to set up shop in Barbados. This section will continue to be enhanced, but we are pleased to have a more dynamic display of data available, even allowing you to review the data in charts of your choice. Look out for more in this space very soon. Our consumer education portal empowers you with blogs, videos, a photo gallery, and an encyclopedia for your easy reference. The video links will take you to our YouTube channel. If you haven't checked it out as yet, now may be a good time to subscribe and turn on your notifications for when we upload new content. Now, welcome to the anti-money laundering section of the website, your go-to resource for combating financial crime and ensuring compliance with AML regulations. Need to stay compliant? Access key AML legislation and find access to the questionnaires and links to other external sites and resources. Also on the website, visit our careers page to see our latest vacancy opportunities. Should you see no vacancy notices when you visit, feel free to check again as new opportunities may arise from time to time. Connect with us effortlessly through our enhanced Contact Us page. Whether you have inquiries or need support, we're here to assist. There is so much more to come with improved dashboards and statistics, payment platforms, an industry meeting schedule, a tips, referral, and complaints portal, and so much more. Experience the future of regulating non-bank financial services in Barbados. Visit fsc.gov.bb today to discover, engage, and innovate with us. Listen now to hear the views of one of our key partners on the layout and functionality of the website.
My name is Carmel Haynes, and I'm the Executive Director of FIBA, the Association for Global Business in Barbados. I'd like to commend the Financial Services Commission of Barbados on their new website. It's very user-friendly, and it puts all the information that you need right at your fingertip. I'm impressed that they have up-to-date statistics on the website. And you can see what's happened in the insurance landscape over the last year, as they have up to December 2024 numbers. And so these numbers tell a story of Barbados as why we are still the third largest captive jurisdiction within the Caribbean and the 7th globally. It's also good that the FSC is transparent in terms of their regulatory requirements and also the companies which they regulate. You can see all of the licensed entities listed on the website, and it's important for investors to know who they will be in company with once they set up in Barbados. So I'd like to say congratulations once again to the FSC, and we hope that we can continue to work together as strategic partners to improve the insurance landscape in Barbados for international insurance companies and investors alike.
Is it Trevor Eastman that used to say, man, you must clap for that. Clap harder than that. Yes, we've been working really hard, and I am truly proud to be a part of this exciting and transformative journey at the FSC. You would see a number of our staff in the room. They're wearing their polos, and there's a QR code on the side. Feel free to scan them, and it will take you directly to our new website. Now, staff were invited to be a part of an in-house poem and jingle competition. We are pleased to have in the house the author of the winning piece. This is in relation to promoting our website. Performing for us tonight in Bridgetown, Barbados, is our enforcement officer, Crystal Walcott, with a piece called We Gone Live.
We gone live. Want to hear that the FFC new website gone live? Well, I had to scramble to the computer and check, because I could hardly believe my eyes. Yes, we live in true, and enough pretty color too. So wait, none of one even and check to see that we ain't do. The social media and the communications team really outdo themselves, because nobody could have tell me that they're the Santa elves. We gone live, but look at my crosses, though. Wanna feel that the public and the other regulators know? I feel we got to pump a set, put on a proper show. The website customize, if you please, and you can navigate the pages and the links with ease. I went to search to find out more and see if it had anything that we'd have missed before. The site giving you the FFC key statistics and even showing the entities how them submit the information through e-filing. Man, we going live and elevate. The site even giving you a full list of the people we does regulate. It even lists the 5 steps to lodge a complaint. Because when you flout the law, we ain't got no restraint. You can't miss the guidelines, designated orders, and legislation. You will really have to not be paying attention. We gone live. And you can view the annual reports. Because we have to show the people we ain't making that kind of sport. We gone live. And now you could watch consumer education videos with a wealth of education that could keep you in the know. We gone live and on the road to enhancing the efficiency, effectiveness, and adaptability of the FFC. After all, the goal is to be a world-class financial regulator for the whole world to see. We gone live. Make sure to tell the people to join the mailing list and keep up to date too, because the information that the post will benefit me and you. Thank you.
Thank you to Crystal. Please don't leave the stage just yet. I want to invite our CEO, Warwick Ward, to join us to just make a small presentation to Crystal at this time. That is the kind of talent that we have at the FSC. Thank you both very, very much. Although not here in person, the chairman of our Stakeholder Advisory Committee, Mr. Henderson Holmes, was sure to share his thoughts with us on this very momentous occasion.
Aloha, and good evening to you all from the beautiful island of Oahu. As the chair of the Stakeholders Advisory Committee of the Commission, I regret that I cannot be there with you today to participate in this celebration of the launch of our new website. This event represents more than the unveiling of a digital platform. It is a clear demonstration of the FSC's steadfast commitment to enhancing the transparency, efficiency, and accessibility of its regulatory and supervisory functions. The launch of this website is a forward-thinking step in the Commission's mission to meet the evolving needs of stakeholders and the wider public. It signifies an intentional shift towards modernizing how we communicate and engage not just with industry participants, but with the public at large. Therefore, this platform is designed to be more than a repository of information. It is a resource to empower stakeholders by providing greater access to timely updates, regulatory guidelines, reports, and educational tools. It serves as a bridge between the FSC and the public, offering transparency into the Commission's operations while facilitating more effective communication between all parties. We therefore expect that this site will now serve as a critical point of contact for investors, businesses, service providers, and others. From a stakeholder's perspective, this launch also aligns with the broader values of the Stakeholders Advisory Committee, fully supported by the Board of Directors, which is deeply committed to fostering open communication and collaboration. As a bridge between the FSC and the stakeholders, our role, that is the role of the Stakeholders Advisory Committee, is to advocate for policies and initiatives that promote engagement, inclusivity, and progress across the financial services sector. This new platform reflects our shared dedication to these principles. To our stakeholders in attendance today, whether you are representing credit unions, insurance companies, pension funds, or others within our ambit, I encourage you to explore the full range of features of this site. Use it not only as a tool for compliance and regulatory guidance, but also as a resource to gain insight into financial instability, best practices, and other matters of importance to your industry. This launch would not have been possible without the dedication and commitment of an incredible team of developers, designers, content creators, and others who have contributed their time and talent. Please join me in thanking them all for their passion and commitment. Thank you, and please enjoy the rest of the evening. Mahalo.
Mahalo, Commissioner Holmes, mahalo. Thank you very much. Ladies and gents, you can appreciate that putting on an event of this nature is no small feat, let alone having the FSC 2.0 brand now associated with us. We know there are a number of other people who really wanted to be here, but unfortunately there was just no more room in the inn. I am sure that when we host our 2027 event, we will accommodate for even larger numbers. That aside, There will be several other opportunities for you to consult with us. Please feel free to share your thoughts by sending an email to communications@fsc.gov.bb. Follow us on our social platforms and join our mailing list through our website. Communications Coordinator Charlene Matherin will now move the vote of thanks. Just before she comes, I want to give an unreserved salute to the members of the communications team who always go above and beyond. I appreciate you and give you your flowers publicly. There are, of course, a number of other persons to be thanked, but I will give Charlene the floor to do just that. It's been a pleasure for Salma and I to serve as your hosts for this evening. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. As we conclude this momentous event, FSC 2.0, it is my absolute pleasure to extend a heartfelt thank you on behalf of the FSC Board, management, and staff. First and foremost, I express our sincere gratitude to Oliver Jordan, the chairman of the board, for sharing his invaluable insights. Your leadership and vision continue to guide us towards a stronger and more transparent financial sector. To the entire Board of Commissioners, we say thank you. To our audience, your participation has been invaluable. Your questions, feedback, and engagement highlight the importance of this initiative and our shared commitment to transparency and collaboration. A warm appreciation for Crystal Walcott for the powerful and inspiring poem, We Gone Live. Your words beautifully capture the essence of our journey and the significance of today's milestone. In their absence, we extend thanks to Tamara Mears and Chantal Armstrong for their contributions to our in-house poem and jingle competition. You'll actually get to hear Chantal's jingle at the close of the event. To our host, Alicia Bascom, Manager, Corporate Communications and Public Education, and our virtual co-host, Selma, thank you for your professionalism and energy in guiding us through today's program. You both kept the event engaging and dynamic. What an exciting combination of talents. To our leader, Warwick Ward, and the entire FSC team, your dedication and hard work have made this event and the website launch a reality. Your commitment to innovation and stakeholder engagement is truly commendable. The many meetings, phone calls, and WhatsApp messages all led us here to this moment where we can be very proud. Special mention to my colleagues in corporate communications. Manager Alicia Bascom and our leading social media and website specialists, Melissa Garnes and Justin Ellis, who worked long and hard to pull together content and work with the site developers. They were ably supported by the contributions of our colleagues from right across the Commission, both on the regulatory and corporate sides. Our IT team must also be highly commended for their continued support in making sure that we operate on a safe and technical sound platform. A big thank you to our ushers, whose warm hospitality and assistance ensured that all our guests were well accommodated. Your professionalism and courtesy made the event even more welcoming and organized. A heartfelt thank you to the venue staff at the Hilton and our technical teams in the room who worked tirelessly behind the scenes. Your attention to detail and coordination ensured seamless execution of this event. We're forever in your debt. Finally, to all of you in the room, thank you for your presence, support, and commitment to shaping a more transparent and forward-thinking regulatory environment. We appreciate the presence and time of our media colleagues helping us to connect with the wider public. We invite you all to explore the website's features, stay engaged, and continue to be a part of this ongoing conversation. Some of our staff will be positioned in the lounge areas in this room to facilitate one-on-one conversations with you. Once again, thank you all for being here. Please enjoy the rest of your evening and remember to discover, engage, and innovate.
And with that, we conclude FSC 2.0, the event. But don't rush off just yet. Stick around for networking, refreshments, and of course, some live entertainment. Enjoy the rest of the evening.
Financial Services Commission, gatekeepers guiding the way. FSC is here to stay. Integrity, excellence, leading, that's right, for a stable future shining bright. FSC, we stand for you, keeping finances strong and true. Insurance, pensions, securities, and credit unions too. With FSC, we'll see it through, building trust in all we do. Regulation that's fair and right. With FSC, your future's bright. FSC, we see it through, building trust in all we do. Regulation that's fair and right. With FSC, your future's bright. FSC, we see it through, building trust in all we do. Regulation that's fair and right. With FSC, your future's bright. FSC, we see it through. Regulation that's fair and right. With FSC, your future's bright.